Fuck's sake. Yes guys, what's happening? Welcome to the video. Me and Jack today are going to be running you through how to program your training properly, all the considerations that you need to be making, how to structure your split, how to decide upon volume per exercise, per session, how many sets, how many reps, all of that stuff we're going to be talking about, and you're just going to see us discussing it as we build our program. This is going to be our real program now for the next few months, so you're going to see us building it. Going round to his now, just before the local lockdown. It's still legal, and I've got my Brain Gains. Brain Gains is in hand. Well, it's not in hand right now. It's in the bag. Gonna nail that for a very productive session of programming. Hopefully you can get some sort of value from it, seeing all the things that we think about when we're programming for clients. You can take a few bits and bobs from it and apply it to your own programs when you're designing your own shit. I'm late as always, so I'm going to end this little intro now, and I'll see you in Jack's. What's happening, lads? Ready for some programming? You
What is? We're gonna program some shit.
What's happening?
Right, we've got coffee, a laptop, pen and paper, and a camera.
We've been here I've been here, Jack's been here all day. I've been here now for almost an hour. Literally we've been here for 50 minutes and we haven't even started because we've just been doing fucking coaching.
This is what we do all the time. This is why we get shit done, but we don't get shit done at the same time because there's always new shit.
We have a plan of what we're going to do for the day, and then we start it, and like 17 new tasks arise every 4 seconds. So
separately, we're probably, I would say, without being big-headed, 2 of the most productive people I know. Together,
yeah.
It's too much.
You just chat
shit going on. But
Brain Gains,
caffeine.
Brain Gains and caffeine. This is going to be very productive. So me and Jack have decided to coordinate our programming together. We're going to be following the same split, but it's going to be ever so slightly different in terms of the movements that we're going to be trying to focus on. Obviously, we are different people. We have different biomechanical fucking setups, so we need different exercises that are going to work for us better. So we were both following a push-pull legs rest, upper lower rest, and for me, it was just, I was completely unable to recover from 3 days training on the bounce. It probably sounds ridiculous to a lot of people when you say that. It's like the intensity that we're training at and the workload that we have in terms of business and the amount of sleep that we're able to get, or for me at the minute, is just completely unrealistic to try and push 3 sessions on the bounce without a rest day and then do that for a long period and be successful in progressing movements and actually progressing physique. So and Jack was the same, weren't you?
Yeah, like what you'll find and what we find with clients, we find with ourselves as well, is that you come up with a plan, and in theory when you write the program it looks great. It's ticking all the boxes and it's covering all of the things that you want it to cover in terms of the muscles you want to train and the amount of times that you want to hit those muscles within like a 7-day rotation. But then when you apply it and you try and fit it into life, it doesn't work. And the volume that we put in on some sessions, for me, on what I'd programmed, because we programmed 2 separate programs, but they were both a push-pull leg, then an upper and lower. I found the push-pull legs were great. They were high volume, which I've learned to sort of do now. I was a very low volume, like accustomed to training low volume for a long time, and I've got more used to training higher volume stuff now as well, which is good. Then 3 sessions were great, but then when it comes to the push-pull, the volume was a lot lower. So I was going into the push-pull, the upper lower. I was going into the upper lower, not working as hard, essentially, because there was only 2 exercises for each muscle group.
Maybe not working as hard, but maybe not stimulating as much.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it. Yeah, it probably just wasn't. There just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
To hit every muscle that I wanted to effectively in the one session without me being there for about 3 hours. And then on the flip side of that, getting to the end of the push pull legs, I was fried. I probably started this program about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I don't think there's been 1 week where I've managed the push pull and the legs 3 days in a row and managed to do like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday push pull legs. It's always had a gap in it somewhere.
Yeah.
So for that alone is enough reason to be like, this isn't working, this isn't the right setup for us at this point in time.
And what we could do there is what we were considering before we started recording, when we were talking about this the other day, is just keeping a push pull legs and then having a rest day. So just doing 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. But then when you look at that across a week or a 2 or 3 week period, you're only going to be hitting push muscles once every 5-6 days. And so it's not really very effective in terms of frequency across the week and volume across a week. So we've decided upper lower.
Upper lower is probably the best option for both of us, isn't it? Because we do end up, that was another thing as well, is that we like training together. Because we both like seeing the other person in pain.
Yeah.
But we both enjoy training. But because our sessions didn't fit together, yesterday we trained legs, and I was trying to RDL 2 or 3 days after RDLing, just because Isaac had mentioned RDL, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. When from a programming perspective and from a performance perspective, that's not ideal.
It's like the worst thing.
Yeah, probably the worst thing that you can do. So not only that, but we didn't know the weights for some of the exercises. So some of the stuff that I've done with Isaac training legs or upper or something like that isn't in my program, so I don't know where I'm at in terms of strength with it. So that again is less effective if I can go into a session
with you
knowing last week I got 12 reps on RDL at this weight. Straight away I can come in and go, right, okay, well this is the goal this week, I can up that. Whereas we were going in and going, okay, let's try this weight and let's try that weight, and it's not effective in terms of progression because I'm not tracking them, I'm not logging them down, so I can't progress to the next time I come to do them.
Yeah.
But also it's making the session take 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, because you were doing about 5 or 6 warm-up sets, working out the weight.
Trying to figure out where we're at that day, how you feel, which you do anyway, session to session, but then when you're going in completely not knowing where you need to be with the weights, it just...
Yeah.
We can't really be spending 3 hours training at the moment as much as we'd like to.
Exactly, but now we're going to be able to be very accurate, knowing exactly what sessions we've got, what exercises, what weight we're using for certain exercises. I think all you've got to really do is progress movements.
Yeah.
Progressive overload for me is the biggest thing in terms of growing muscle. It's like if you are going into a session like yesterday, you had no idea what you should technically be able to RDL because you did it 3 days ago. It's like we need to make being as accurate as possible with the logbook, which was not really what I wanted to talk about today, but if you're going into your sessions without the program, you're sort of winging it, you're not going to be able to accurately, progressively overload your muscle, you're not going to create a new stimulus, you're not going to ask it something that it's currently not capable of, and therefore it won't grow, it won't adapt to be able to do to contract against that new stimulus or to work against that new stimulus. So log your shit, man.
Write it down along with everything else.
So why did we pick an upper lower? Let's go back to that.
Yeah. So when it comes to
we were literally just saying The upper session was shit.
Yeah. So why did we pick an upper? Because we've just said it's shit.
Yeah.
When we're programming for us or a client, or whenever we're coming to do a program, we have boxes that need to be ticked. One of those boxes is training frequency. How many times can we train that muscle within a 7-day period? Ideally, we want to hit the same muscle 2 or 3 times within 7 days. That doesn't mean Monday to Sunday. That's from when you first do that muscle, when you first train that muscle, 7 days from then. So if you're doing legs on Sunday, it's 7 days from Sunday, not, right, we'll have done it on Sunday, that's within the 7-day week. So that was one of them, was how can we effectively train each muscle group at least twice, ideally. 3, we probably just haven't got the time for, without everyone else taking a hit. Perfect world, 3 times a week, and we'd get 2 sessions a day in, and we'd sleep loads and eat loads of food. And someone would pay us money to go and train in the gym and film it. But that's not going to happen.
No,
so,
not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe 10 years.
Yeah. So that was where the upper lower come in, is that we can effectively train more muscles more often and still be able to recover from it.
I think that was the biggest thing, wasn't it? We were literally saying, right, well, we need 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. If we go for the push-pull legs and try and implement that, going back to what we were saying before, we're not going to hit the muscle with enough frequency through the week. So we need an upper lower rest, upper lower rest, upper lower rest. And so just moving through that. How we're going to do it though, obviously, going back to what Jack said, he had 1 upper session, and so it was 2 shoulders, 2 chest, 2 back, and it's not really enough volume for each muscle group in that upper session. So what we're going to do is come up with a few rotations of upper sessions and a few rotations of lower sessions with different focuses. So one of the upper sessions is going to be focused on delts, one of them is going to be focused on chest, one of them is going to be focused on upper back, one of them is going to be focused on lats. I think we agree, but we'll get into all that now. We're going to come up with 4 lower body sessions. That 1 is focused, or 2 are focused on quads, 2 are focused on hamstrings and glutes or posterior chain, and the 2 that are focused on quads, one of them is going to be split up into a higher volume session where we're just sort of higher rep work, getting lots of metabolic stress. The other session is focused on quads. We're going to really try to progress a big heavy quad compound, so like a hack squat or a pendulum or something like that, and the same for the posterior chain focused sessions. So hopefully we're going to be ticking off all the boxes. So what if you have to say 3 things that someone needs to consider when they're designing a program, what would you say, lad?
What?
I'd say what you said then, frequency. At least twice a week. 3 times would probably be ideal for most. Yeah.
If you could, in an ideal world, we'd want everyone training muscles 3 times a week. But sometimes we can do that. If you're relatively new to training, we'll give you a full body session because it's probably the most effective way of you seeing results if you're new to the gym without hurting yourself. If you're training 3 times a week and they're 3 full body sessions, then you're going to train those body parts 3 times a week, and you're only going to have to train 3 times a week, and you're still going to see great results. As you progress in your training experience and your ability to build muscle becomes more difficult, training 3 times a week and having enough volume and enough intensity becomes more difficult. And that's where we are kind of at now, where we've got to get a bit more
we've got to get it
into things.
Because obviously what we were doing previously worked for us, but circumstances change, our ability to recover changes, and so we need to keep on top of it. So frequency, 2 to 3 times a week. I think volume, when you're actually designing a program, we need to look at what are the areas that you want to bring up. If we're looking at this specifically from a bodybuilding perspective, take a look at your physique. What are the shit areas? What are the good areas? What do you need to prioritize in your training program? So if you've got really shit shoulders, you probably need to give more sets to your shoulders across the week.
if you've got a fantastic chest, you probably don't need to give as much attention to chest across the week if you're looking for a balanced physique, which is obviously going to be what you're trying to do. So in terms of something actually actionable, anywhere between 10 and 20 sets across a week for a muscle seems to be where you want it to be, and you can come to the lower end of that if it's an area that you're not really too bothered about progressing. If you're wanting to really progress an area, something higher towards 20 sets per week would be better. And then again, consider though, if you're trying to bring your quads up, 20 sets of quads a week is going to fuck you up. So if it's a really big muscle group like legs and you're trying to do 20 sets on quads, it's probably better to make sure that you're considering recovery before you just go in and blindly just say, right, I said 20 sets. If you want to bring up your legs, just make sure that you're recovering from it properly.
Brings us nicely onto the third consideration for your training, which is recovery. Once you've ticked off the first two, you need to be able to, again, like you were saying, you can put it down on paper and it looks great. Can you, with your life at this point in time, work commitments, outside social commitments, general stress, and your day-to-day routine on top of training, can you actually recover from what you want to do? Like we said, we ideally would love to train 3 days a week, hit every muscle 3 times a week. 1, we can't do it anyway because of time restraints, but 2, we wouldn't recover from it, so it's not ideal. So that is a massive consideration, probably one of the biggest overriding factors in all of it. If you can't recover from the stuff that you've programmed, it doesn't matter how fancy it is or how well thought out it is or how well designed the exercise selection is or how hard you train in those sessions. If you're not recovering from that session, you're not going to see any results, or your results that you do see are going to be suboptimal, and they're going to be not what you could get from the effort that you're putting in.
Yeah. If you're smashing your chest to smithereens and then 3 days later doing it again, your performance is going to be suboptimal. The amount of load you're putting through the muscle in that session is going to be a bit shit. And if you're always on the back foot in terms of recovery, you're never going to be progressively overloading the muscle, going back to what we said before. And that will then cause the nervous system to fucking get destroyed. Like my HRV today was like 43. And then that means that now that's going to affect other body parts, it's going to affect everything. Your sleep will be shit, your digestion will be shit, you won't be able to fucking absorb the nutrients that you're consuming. So recovery is the biggest thing. Probably the biggest one.
Probably the biggest one.
Like for most people watching this, you can probably just go into the gym and smash yourself, and as long as you're recovering from it, you just do whatever you want. As long as you're recovering from it, you'll probably grow. Right. So
Sessions.
what are your goals, lad? What are you trying to bring up?
Lower hamstrings and glutes.
Have you got notes there?
No, I'm just going to take notes because I like writing down stuff on paper.
So
I'm old school.
what are you trying to bring up?
So hamstrings and glutes because I can't deadlift. I can, and I can coach a deadlift, but that's different in being able to actually deadlift any kind of significant weight off the floor. So we had this conversation the other day. I can RDL 4 plates, which is 200 kilos, 180 kilos, something like that.
180 kilos.
I can't deadlift.
Trying to sneak it 200.
Yeah, trying to sneak an extra 20 in there for the ego. I can't deadlift that off the ground. They're different movements, but through technique, they're very similar. So I should really be able to get close to it, and I can't for the similar rep ranges. One, because I don't deadlift or haven't deadlifted for a very long time, so me.
It's probably neurological.
Neurological, yeah, and developing a better technique and working on my technique. But 2, my lower back has always been an issue, and I'm doing a video on it today about lower back pain, and the fact that my glutes and hamstrings just aren't as strong as the rest of the muscles around my hips is a big reason for that. is why you hurt your back for most people. So bringing up glutes and hamstrings in terms of that is more a longevity thing than a visual thing for me. If you've got strong glutes and you've got strong hamstrings, you're going to have a healthier lower back and hips.
I also just think, I was saying this to you the other day, I just think big glutes and hamstrings just look better. Like,
Yeah.
quads look cool, but if you've got big glutes and hamstrings, you just look like a fucking athlete. You know what I mean? You look
Yeah,
athletic.
you look powerful.
When you see someone walking down the street with big glutes and hamstrings, you think, fuck! Because everyone's got big quads. But that is what has fucked me up over the last week, because all I did was like glute focused leg sessions for like a year. So now me bum and hamstrings are well bigger than me quads. I've got puny quads. So now I need to bring me quads up. So my focus is quads for legs. But obviously I need to bring everything up because I'm still skinny as fuck.
So what we'll come on to it in a minute, but how we'll tackle this, even though we'll program the same session pretty much for each other, one of the simplest things that we'll do is just change the rep ranges that we're going to aim for in each thing. So when it comes to a glute or hamstring exercise, because that's a main focus for me, I may do more reps, higher volume, or I'll lift more weight on those exercises than Isaac will. And then when it comes to the quad dominant exercises, or whatever it is that Isaac's prioritising that I'm not, then he may do a lot more volume than I will.
If you imagine you've got so much capacity for work, you're just going to distribute more capacity towards his glute and hamstring work than I will. And then I'm going to distribute more of my capacity in terms of the soul-sucking leg exercises that are going to come.
One thing for me personally, I think for both of us, because we're really prone to it, one thing that is something that we'll have to consider personally when we come to train is to not get sucked into the other person's sets. We're programming this now so that we have it there to follow. What we will do and do in the past is go into the gym with the intention of, right, I'm not going to hammer my quads today, I'm going to focus on my glutes and hamstrings, but then I'll see him do an absolutely disgusting quad exercise and I'm like, right, okay, I want in. And I'll annihilate myself, and that's not the focus of my session that day, so that's something definitely I'll have to keep a mental check of when I go into the sessions, is that's not what I'm here to do today.
It sounds a bit big-headed, but when you're capable of training to the intensity that we can train at, you need to almost have the presence of mind and the understanding of how taking every set to where you can take it is going to fucking destroy you in terms of your ability to recover. So having the ability to just hold back on certain sets and distribute your soul.
Yeah, that's essentially what you do.
Distribute your soul to the sets where you really fucking need it to grow. So if I'm trying to grow my quads, I'm not going to smash myself on an RDL before I go and do a pendulum, whereas Jack will. So distributing your soul to the sets that need it, and then not backing off, still training with intensity, but knowing when it's time to turn on the fucking, what would you say? Turn on the anger, get into that dark place.
And
you get in when you pull out that aggression.
Yeah, like there's different types of sets. There's those sets that you have purpose. Like all sets there's a purpose behind all sets, but if you're RDL, if my focus is hamstrings when I go to do that, hamstrings and glutes when I go to do that RDL, that one heavy set I do that week, taking that and absolutely annihilating myself with perfect form in that set is one of the reasons I'm going to grow, and then maintaining a high level of work for the rest of the session. If I go in and do a really crap hamstring, if I go in and do a really weak first exercise for the muscles I'm trying to target, say hamstrings and glutes, and I don't take myself to that dark place, I can still continue to work hard for the rest of the session, but I just won't have created that fatigue and that stimulus to grow as much as I could have. So those sets and those exercises that are for the muscles that we both want to focus on, we need the energy for those to make them grow.
Yeah, you just be clever with our soul, really good.
Yeah.
So hams and glutes.
Hams and glutes
what
for me,
else are
quads
trying
for
to
you.
do? Upper body.
Delts and arms. Delts and both bi and tri for me.
Yeah. I just want I haven't literally set myself the goal this morning to fill this stack out. I bought it yesterday, and it's a large. My first large stack, the guys.
Yes.
I need to fill it out. I'm quite far away.
Bicep, tricep and calves.
Yeah.
To be honest, we both need to grow our calves.
We both need to grow everything really, so we could go
Yeah.
through the whole fucking.
We do need
We're
to
just
grow.
on the way to list of every muscle. Like, what are your actual focuses? Arms, delts. Like, for me, I need to bring up my upper chest, me anterior delts, and my lats mainly.
So what have you just said there? Because I've got calves has always been one that I always say I need to bring up and then never action it. And so today's programme will involve me actually actioning some stuff that grows my calves.
Yeah.
He says, watch this space. And we calves the same size in 18 months because calves don't grow because it's a myth.
In the middle of setting up the split, so how many rotations are we thinking? So what we said, we want four different
So
leg
we need
rotations.
4 leg rotations, don't we?
And probably, what, 4 different upper body. Right, so, oh fuck, this will be nice, I'll just interject there, and
Yeah.
it'll just be all of a sudden, it'll just be my face like that. What's happening? So the fucking memory ran out, so we've done a fair bit of the programming now. I'm gonna say that again because people will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm gonna say
Oh lads, we've got so many fucking edit reels, you know, like of bloopers.
hey guys! So the fucking memory on the camera died, so we had to transfer it onto the laptop. We've done a fair bit of the programming now, so we'll just catch you up on what we've done and then continue cracking on. So
we come up with a decent plan, to be fair.
fucking unreal, mate.
It's ticking all of the boxes so far. We just need to do the nitty gritty of figuring out what exercises go where. So the first thing we do is build a skeleton plan, basically, of
Let's begin recording it so we can bang it into the video for
What,
you to see.
what days are we going to do what, essentially. So we've gone through and figured out what exercise, what muscles we want to hit, what muscles we want to prioritise, and then we figured out what sessions we're going to be able to fit in across. It's pretty much 2 weeks to fit them all in, but in 7-day rotations. So we figured out we want 4 leg sessions focusing on quads and then hamstrings and glutes. 2 of those sessions are going to be heavier sessions, and then 2 of those are going to be more metabolic, higher rep stuff that burns your soul rather than is heavy.
What are the benefits of that?
Benefits of that, we're getting stronger in the heavy sessions and we're putting a lot of load through the muscles, which is going to cause muscle growth. Downside of that is it's really fucking hard to recover from. So you can't just nail a load of heavy sessions all the time without being absolutely fried, both mentally and physically. Metabolic sessions create metabolic stress in the muscles and are great for building muscle. But again, it means you need to do a lot more volume, and so trying to fit a lot of those in, time-wise, becomes difficult. So putting both in covers both bases. It covers the strength rep ranges, it covers the metabolic.
We're ticking off the two different stimulus that we need really, isn't it? So we're looking, 2 of the main drivers of muscle growth are mechanical tension, which is the amount of load you can pass through a muscle, so that's the heavy session, and then the metabolic stress components will come from the lighter sessions where we just do loads of high volume shit, which is going to be vital.
Yeah, and when we say lighter because we're using lighter weights, but
It's not light, you're going to be fucking crying.
there's more intensity, I would say, in the lighter sessions because it needs to hurt like fuck. Basically, we're trying to make ourselves fail and not be able to complete any more reps or get as close to failure as we can in that set. without having the weight makers do that. So if I was to just pick up a 20 kilo dumbbell and shoulder press it, I could fail that in 10 reps, or I could fail that in 50 reps, depending on how I move it. We're trying to make it as painful as possible with lighter weights. So it's a bit emotional.
It's fun though.
It's great though.
It's fun watching each other cry.
Yeah, it's fun making each other cry.
So we've basically done each upper session. So Jack's just explained the leg sessions. The upper sessions, we've got a chest focus session, a lat focus session, a delt focus session, and then we've called it under neck, your upper back focused session.
Under neck is the technical term.
Yeah. The lats, big back wing. Let's change that again to big back wing. So we've got basically a different focus for each session. However, all of the muscle groups are going to be hitting, because obviously that's just the nature of an upper session. Big back wing.
So that's where we're at now, is how we've got the skeleton plan. We know what the main focus of each of the sessions is going to be across a week and a half. And then we're going to rotate through those sessions every 11 days, because it tells me on there, so I didn't have to do maths. Handy. Now what we're going to get into is what exercises do we put into those sessions that mean we tick all the boxes that we need to. We've got enough volume and enough load to make sure that we grow the areas that we want to specifically grow and focus on. We've got enough exercises in there that mean the other areas of our body don't get neglected and they still get hit multiple times within a 7-day cycle. And 3, that we can actually recover from the amount of stuff that we put in those 11 days, so that at the end of the 11 days we're not absolutely fried and need to take a break already.
Yeah.
And it's something that we can sustain over a relatively long period of time, maximising recovery and progression in all the sessions.
Definitely. So I'm probably not going to bore you with absolutely every single decision that we make, because we're probably going to be sat here for like an hour, but for an example, the first thing that we spoke about, I always like to start upper body sessions with a lateral raise or some sort of front or lateral raise to get some synovial fluid into the shoulder joint, because every upper body muscle pretty much attaches to something in your shoulder. So if we can get those joints lubricated, you're probably gonna create less likelihood of immobility over time and injury in your actual sessions when you start to load things heavily. And obviously it's just a nice way to get a bit of volume in for shoulders. So obviously shoulders are an area that we both want to bring up. I want to bring up my front delt, Jack wants to bring up his medial delt. And so we just picked two simple exercises, lateral raises and front raises. So what we're going to be doing is distributing, obviously we've got 4 upper body sessions, so in 2 of them we're going to be doing lateral raises, and then in the other 2 we're going to be doing front raises. We've decided to stick the front raises into the start of our back focused upper body sessions, so that when we're doing our presses in our chest and delt sessions, that we haven't fatigued our front delt. So when we're trying to do a press, that's not a limiting factor in like our chest or our whatever we're trying to press is the limiting factor, rather than our front delt becoming something that holds our ability to progress back. If we start doing front raises at the start of a session, we're going to go into the press fatigue. So we're going to do lateral raises on our chest and our delt focus sessions to start with, and then put the front raises in for our back focus sessions, because that won't have any inhibitory effect on our ability to perform a big back movement. And going back to what we said before, we want a minimum of 10 to 20 sets, or somewhere in the region of 10 to 20 sets for a given muscle. So 4 times per week we're going to hit 4 sets of shoulders at the start of each session. So that's, if we are, wait, we worked out as 10 before, didn't we?
You worked it out. Don't be pinning this on me.
Fucking idiot.
18.
Well, actually no, okay. If we, is it 18?
4 times 4.
4 times 4 is 16, lad.
That's what's that.
For some reason we worked out as 10 before. Why are we idiots, lad? Did I separate them into like lateral and anterior though?
Maybe, but even then the numbers don't add up.
Yeah, even then it would be 8, wouldn't it? Why did I get 10? So, we'll say, should we say 3? 3. So, okay, so right. 3 sets. Fucking idiot.
That's what we said all along.
So, 3 sets at the start of each session means that we'll hit our delts with lateral raises and front raises for 12 sets across a week. And then obviously, because the areas that we want to bring up, we probably want to be pushing it a little bit higher, and again, delts have a pretty good capacity to recover. So we can probably push it a little bit higher towards 16, 17, 18 sets per week. So on our delt focused upper body session, we'll probably add in another variation of a delt movement. So add maybe a shoulder press or some sort of other variation of a lateral raise, maybe a lying lateral raise or something like that. That's going to push that 12 up to 15, 16 and so on. But that is how that's how we're basically going to approach the rest of every other exercise selection. So I don't think we should bore everyone with,
No,
with
we could
everyone.
be here all day with all the records. So we're just gonna go through them, and any sort of big points to note, stuff that we think you actually give a fuck about, we'll talk about. And then other stuff where we give a fuck about it but we think you won't give a fuck about it,
Yeah.
we won't talk about. That way, we're happy, you're happy, you learn stuff, we get stuff done.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. It's happening. We're back again.
We're done!
Done.
I'm actually dead excited for this, lad. We're gonna grow so big.
This is a really good training program.
We're gonna get big muscles.
We are. We're gonna do a grow.
Why? What were you saying before? How sick we are.
So, yeah, just blowing smoke up both our asses basically. That we've come up with a training program that fits 2 different individuals, 2 different workloads, 2 different goals in terms of the muscles we want to progress.
Capacity to recover.
Included our capacity to recover. Also incorporated what exercises we both can and can't really do, or just don't really work that well for either of us. And we've managed to fit that all into one program so that we can either train together or separately throughout the 11-day rotation, and it works for both of us.
And we ticked off all the shit that we were talking about before in terms of the volume, number of sets per muscle group across the split, as well as hitting each muscle at least twice within the 7-day period. So we fucking smashed it.
All in all, we're dead smart. Like really, really smart, like painfully smart. Like
So
we're not really, we just applied the basics and talked it through. And having 2 heads is always better than 1.
That's it. People always overcomplicate shit.
Yeah,
Don't they? Like it's just, as long as you take the basics and you turn up and train fucking dead hard
yeah,
and eat good and sleep, that's really eat for your goals, train hard and sleep. But we fucking ticked off the basics and very excited to grow. So you put some horrible shit in there. Like we forced ourselves to like do some heavy carb shit. Like just end of every leg session, regardless of how we feel, 5 sets of 20 to 25 huge. We were debating putting carbs at the start of upper sessions just because we always just fucked them off because no one wants to train carbs. So we just, instead of doing that, we just decided, right, let's just not be fucking pussies.
just do it.
Just do it at the end of the session.
When we want to get really, really lean for a photo shoot or for a holiday or for wherever it is, you just do the shit that you need to do. So we're just going to apply that mentality to
It's a carb.
training carbs. They're not fun. They're not a sexy exercise.
Fucking shit.
They're just like standing on your tiptoes and then not standing on your tiptoes repeatedly for like 10 minutes.
And it burns a lot.
And it burns and no one really enjoys it. So we don't do it.
Especially after you've fucking destroyed yourself in a full leg session, you throw it at the end, but you just gotta fucking...
But we're just gonna do it because it's needed.
Yeah, we've got some horrible supersets with some quad shit. We've got some walking lunges into sled pushes, into sissy squats and shit. It's gonna be fantastic, it's gonna grow lots of muscle. We should this is still recording. we should document our progress on this.
Yeah. So this has been a bit of an introduction into how we both approach programming for both us and for the people that we work with. Because
people wonder why programming takes like 5-6 days.
This is why we don't just send you out a program. This is also hopefully a bit of an insight to you as to if you do work with a coach and they send you a program within a day, that program wasn't designed for you.
Yeah, it wasn't. And it also should show you that if you get given a program by a good coach who took a few days on your shit, don't go and start doing fucking other stuff and additional volume. Just don't do it, because I've sat here for like 3 hours working on your shit, man. That wasn't aimed at anyone. Sorry. He's not going to be watching it, so it's fine.
Yeah, well that's it. That's how we do it. That's what goes into our training programs for both us and everyone we work with. We're gonna document how we get on with it. It might, like we said at the start, be absolutely terrible for us when we actually apply it in real life. But so far, so good. It looks excellent. Excited to get in and do this first session, which will be Monday. And we'll see how we get on. And then we'll probably make another video in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Pulling it apart and saying how crap it was. And how we're going to do the next one.
It was. Hopefully you've been able to get something from this video and you can apply it to your own programming and you can all get massive as well. Peace!